Homeless hero rescues paralyzed boy from drowning revealed. A Millionaire'S life-changing gift. On a vibrant Tuesday afternoon, laughter echoed through the sun-drenched park. Families gathered, their blankets spread wide, holding picnics and playtime like the cherished American tradition they were. Yet, while joy surrounded them, one familiar figure lingered on the library steps. Jake, a 35-year-old homeless veteran, sat with a bittersweet smile, a face weathered by life's harsh storms. His eyes spoke of battles fought in distant lands, now trapped in the chaos of PTSD. Each day was a struggle, yet he found purpose in collecting cans, sharing his meager lunch of day-old bread with the even less fortunate. A hero in a world that often overlooked him, his stomach growled, a bitter reminder of his hunger as he skimmed past the park. Then he spotted a boy leaning with uncontainable excitement, laughter bursting forth like bubbles. Ethan, a bright-eyed child confined to a wheelchair, radiated joy. He charmed the parkgoers, his grin infectious despite the challenges he faced. Just moments later, panic ripped through the air like a jagged knife when, in a tragic twist, Ethan's wheelchair tipped, plunging him into the murky water of the pond. Time stood still, a collective gasp echoed as screams filled the park. Without a shred of hesitation, Jake sprinted toward the water's edge. Heart racing, adrenaline pumping, he dove in. Ice-cold shock enveloped him, clawing at his body, yet he pushed through the freezing grip, focused only on Ethan's small, terrified face. He reached out, fingers grasping the boy's shirt, pulling him from the depths of despair. The crowd surged in awe, disbelief painted on their faces as Jake emerged, dripping yet triumphant. A shuddering gasp of relief swept over the gathered community. They had witnessed a hero amidst their midst. As buzz surrounded Jake's act of valor, the community started to engage in conversations about homelessness. Voices raised in support mingled with whispers of prejudice and misunderstanding. Days later, Claire, a philanthropist who had once fought her own battles, ventured into Jake's neighborhood after catching wind of his daring rescue. Seeing the hero's heart beating under the layers of grime and despair, she felt inspired, vowing to create a project that would support the homeless while offering therapy for children like Ethan. But as Jake began to weave himself into the fabric of the community, challenges loomed. Rumors spread like wildfire, dragging his past into the light. People questioned his worthiness, as if wearing rags could overshadow the bravery displayed that day. Jake faced harsh judgment, each unkind word a piercing reminder of his struggles. As he fought to rewrite his story, he became a symbol for many, both a veteran and a man seeking redemption. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With the community newfound aware of Jake's fight, hope flickered in his chest, but the weight of acceptance grew heavier. He found himself wondering about his estranged family. Could he heal those wounds? The question gnawed at him, swirling in his mind like the currents of the pond he had saved Ethan from. As Jake stood at the crossroads of forgiveness and doubt, the emotional stakes soared, the winds of change whispering around him. Would he reclaim his place and redefine what it means to be a hero? The journey was just beginning, and each decision felt monumental. The following days brought a mix of warmth and tension as Jake grappled with the whispers that followed him through the streets. Each morning, he'd walk the familiar route past the library, lingering by the old oak tree where Ethan often played. The boy's laughter still echoed in his ears, but it was now accompanied by the heavy burden of doubt, a weight he couldn't shake. People seemed torn. Some admired him, almost worshipping his brave act, while others flashed looks of disdain, as if the rags on his back disqualified him from being a role model. He often caught snippets of conversations, a blend of admiration and judgment that left him unsettled. Can you believe he was homeless? One neighbor asked another, their voices hushed, yet unmistakable. How can that even be a hero? Jake's heart sank at their remarks. Why can't they see? He whispered to himself, glancing at the reflection in a shop window, searching for the hero he hoped to become. In the midst of this turmoil, Claire's initiative took shape. She secured a meeting with Jake, a chance she declared would change everything. As they sat across from one another at a local cafe, warmth from the sun spilled in through the window. Claire was vibrant, her voice filled with genuine enthusiasm, a stark contrast to Jake's shadowed aura. "Your story can help so many," Claire said, her eyes sparkling with determination. "We can launch a program that not only helps homeless veterans, but also aids kids like Ethan. You can share your journey." Jake listened intently, the flicker of hope igniting once again. But hesitation haunted him. What if they don't believe me? What if they think I'm just a fraud? He murmured, staring into his lukewarm coffee. "Then you'll show them the truth." "You've already proven you're a hero," she replied earnestly. "You saved Ethan. Think of how many other lives you could touch. Could he really be the bridge between two worlds?" He wanted to try. The thought raced through his mind like a roller coaster, drowning out his fears. But as they delved deeper into plans, Jake's past crept into the conversation. Claire, noticing the shadows over his eyes, gently prompted him. "What about your family?" At her words, Jake flinched. Memories flooded back: nighttime arguments, a broken home, the day he left without looking back. They won't want anything to do with me," he said, and the despair in his voice echoed louder than the bustling cafe around them. "But what if they're waiting, Jake? What if they need you as much as you need them?" Claire's words lingered, quiet yet powerful, like a lighthouse beam piercing through his fog. Silence wrapped around them, thick and heavy. He felt the walls he had built around his heart begin to tremble. This could be his chance, a chance to reclaim more than just a place in the community, to maybe heal those fractured ties. As they brainstormed ideas for the program, Jake found himself picturing a different life, one filled with purpose, support, and even the hope of reconnecting with his family. But that hope came with a cost. A fear of rejection hung just beneath the surface. "Can I really do this?" he asked, the weight of possibility hanging raw in the air. Claire smiled softly. "You've already done the bravest thing, Jake. Now it's time to fight for your future." With those words, something shifted deep within him, a soft glow of determination, mixed with uncertainty, igniting into a fire. He was at the start of a new journey, one that could change everything. The question now loomed large. Could he face the demons of his past while stepping boldly into his future? As Jake ventured outside, an unfamiliar thrill coursed through him. With every step, he felt the shadows lifting, but an uneasiness lingered. How would the community respond if he dared to confront his past? Would he be brave enough to face the ones he left behind, or would the weight of his history pull him back into darkness? The streets bustled around him, but his heart raced, not just from doubt but unexpected exhilaration. Was this, at last, the first step toward reclaiming his life? Would he embrace the uncertainty or hide forever? Jake stepped out into the warm sunlight, the faint sound of laughter from nearby children playing in the park. It struck him that joy felt worlds away. He tugged at his worn jacket, deeper in thought. Had it really been only a few days since he took that leap, rushing into the water to save Ethan? As he navigated the bustling streets, a nagging thought began to gnaw at him. What if people didn't just see him as a hero? What if they saw him as a charity case, a reminder of all that was wrong in the world? "Hey, Jake!" a voice called out. It was Tim, an old friend from before everything spiraled down. Jake turned, and the look on Tim's face brought back floods of memories: late nights, carefree laughter, the company that felt like family at the time. "Tim," Jake said, forcing a smile despite the tighten of his chest. "I heard about what you did for the kid. Man, that was incredible. You're a legend." Tim's grin was infectious, but Jake felt that familiar twinge of self-doubt. "Thanks. Just doing what anyone would do," he replied, shrugging it off. "Not everyone jumps into a lake, risking their life just to save another," Tim countered, hands on his hips, a teasing smirk on his face. "Seriously though, are you doing okay?" Jake hesitated. "Yeah, just trying to figure it all out. He couldn't shake the feeling that Tim's question was layered with more depth than just a name check. "Oh, come on," Tim insisted, sliding closer. "You're not fooling me. You're in a whole new spotlight, my friend. I can see the pressure on you." With a sigh, Jake ran a hand through his hair. "I guess it's just a lot. People expect me to be something more." "You're already something more, man. You saved that kid's life. And now you're talking about helping others too, right? Think about that." But the shadows of his past returned, taunting him. What if they find out who I really am? What if my family doesn't care about me? What if no one believes I can really help? Tim stepped back, scrutinizing him with intent. "Jake, it's not about what people think. It's about what you want. Do you want to help? Then do it. Just be you." Jake nodded slowly, mulling over Tim's words. But doubt tightened around his heart like a vice. "I have this idea," he began, voice barely above a whisper. "A program for the homeless, particularly veterans." "Now you're talking," Tim exclaimed, excitement pouring from him. "You could bring the story of your life to help folks. This is huge." His heart raced with both fear and exhilaration. What if he truly pushed forward? What if he opened the door to his past? "Do you think I could do it?" Jake asked, vulnerability spilling from him like a fragile glass. Tim clapped a hand on his shoulder. "You're already doing it by just thinking about it. Everyone loves a comeback story. You got this." Jake took a deep breath, feeling a flicker of hope. Maybe Tim was right. Maybe this could be a turning point. As they spoke more about the program, Jake felt a burden lift. With each idea, he saw a glimmer of purpose shining through the fog. But as the conversation deepened, one question loomed on the horizon. What if the cost of reconnecting with his family and the community he left behind proved too great? "Jake," Tim said, bringing him back. "Just remember, once you take that step, there's no going back. You ready for that?" The thrill of possibility danced in his chest. Was he prepared to confront more than just his fears? Was he ready to face all the unhealed wounds waiting for him? As the sun dipped low on the horizon, Jake took a breath, excitement mixing with anxiety. This could be the change he craved, but at what price? The fear and exhilaration intertwined, each heartbeat echoing a truth only he could resolve. He met Tim's gaze, readying himself for a leap of faith. But standing on the edge of this new beginning, one question gnawed at him. Would he have the strength to rewrite his story? Jake took a step back, shaking his head. The idea of starting a program for the homeless felt monumental, like standing at the base of a mountain. He had to climb it, but doubt threatened to anchor him in place. "What if I fail?" He blurted out, the weight of the world pressing down on him. Tim's expression softened. "What if you succeed?" The question hung in the air, a potent challenge. Jake's heart raced. He pictured veterans like him, struggling under the weight of their pasts, searching for a glimmer of hope. Okay, he said, shaking off the fear. "Let us think through this." Tim's smile returned, his enthusiasm infectious. "What is your first step?" Jake clenched his fists, gathering his thoughts. "I'll need to reach out to local shelters, see what the needs are. Maybe partner with some organizations that already help." "Bingo!" Tim slapped his knee in excitement. "You can start small, build it up. You've got the story that can attract attention." As the words poured from him, a vision began to emerge: community gatherings, workshops on skills, a place for healing. The idea lit a spark within him, igniting hope for something better, not just for himself but for others. Yet, that flicker of doubt still clung to the edges of his mind. Would anyone take him seriously? "Have you thought about who you'd want to help first?" Tim asked, his voice gently probing. Jake hesitated. "Yeah, I think I want to focus on guys like me. The veterans who feel forgotten." "Great choice. You've lived it. You understand their struggles." Tim leaned in closer. "Now let us talk details. How do you envision this program?" Jake felt the rush of possibilities swirling in his mind. "Maybe we could provide mentorship. Help them readjust, find jobs, or just offer a listening ear." Tim nodded, emboldening him. "Yes, you could be that bridge." With each word exchanged, Jake felt the walls he had built around himself start to crumble. It wasn't just about helping others, it was about helping himself too. He pictured veterans sharing their burdens, voices reaching out, and stories intertwining. "I want to create a safe space, a community hub," he said, confidence swelling. "Somewhere no one has to feel alone." "Sign me up." Tim beamed. But all at once, Jake shifted with unease. What if I don't have the resources? What if I can't get people to listen? Every big thing starts small, right? Look at you. You didn't have a plan when you jumped in to save Ethan. You just did it, Tim reminded him, eyes fierce with passion. Jake felt the familiar knot tighten in his stomach. But this is different. This is about real change, and I don't even know where to start. I don't want to let anyone down. Look, Jake, Tim replied, slowing his tone. It's about progress, not perfection. You're fighting to change lives, including yours. Just keep moving forward. Jake took a deep breath, grounding himself in Tim's words. You're right. I can do this. The conversation flowed freely now, filled with excited chatter and wild ideas. But as Jake articulated his vision, a somber thought crossed his mind. What if facing his past meant dragging painful memories into the light? Tim, can I really confront my family again? He asked, the question trembling on his lips. Are you ready to find out? Tim shot back, taking a step back as he grinned knowingly. Jake looked into the distance, biting his lip. This wasn't just about helping others. It was about rediscovering himself and reconciling with everything he'd left behind. The thought felt overwhelming. But maybe, just maybe, facing his fears could set him free. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over their conversation, Jake felt the spark of hope turn into a flame. And yet, lurking beneath that flame was a fear that chilled him to the bone. Would his family still want him back? He turned back to Tim, uncertainty brewing in his eyes. What if they don't accept me anymore? The words escaped like a whisper, hanging silently in the air. Tim's smile dimmed, replaced by a look of understanding. You'll never know until you try, and with those words, Jake realized that the hardest step might just be the first one back home. Jake sat in the fading light, the weight of Tim's words settling heavily on his chest. The world around him blurred as thoughts swirled like leaves caught in a gust of wind. He had found a purpose, something bright, something real. Yet, the thought of his family loomed large, casting a shadow over his newfound determination. Would they look at him with disappointment? Would they still see the son who had once dreamed big but fell short? Hey, Tim said, nudging him lightly. You okay? Jake took a deep breath, forcing a smile. Just thinking about my family. It's a lot to face. I get that, Tim replied, his voice steady. But remember, you're not going back to a void. You're going back as a changed man. You've survived so much already. You're stronger than you think. It's scary, Jake admitted, his gaze drifting toward the horizon. What if they don't understand? What if they can't accept who I am now? Tim leaned forward, eyes locked on Jake's. What if they're just waiting for you to come back? What if they want to see the man you've become? Jake felt a flicker of warmth in his chest, igniting hope. I guess I won't know until I try, huh? Exactly, Tim exclaimed, enthusiasm bubbling over. And think about all those veterans you want to help. They're in desperate need of someone like you, a survivor, a fighter. You might inspire them just by walking the path you've walked. Imagine the change you could create. A surge of energy raced through Jake. He could be that figure. The man who reached back to pull others away from the darkness. But doubt gripped him again, creeping back with its cold hands. What if I can't make a difference? He whispered, as his heart sank. Look at Ethan. That boy needed you at that moment, and you were there. Change doesn't have to be monumental, it just has to be real. You've already done it once, Tim said, leaning back with a reassuring smile. Jake felt a rush of warmth at the memory of Ethan's face, filled with gratitude and relief. You're right, he said, nodding slowly. I want to be there for someone, like I was for him. Then do it, Tim urged, energized by Jake's response. Start with a plan. Determine how you can network with local shelters. Make it a priority to reach out to those organizations. You can even hold a meeting to bring everyone together. The idea sparked something within Jake once more. Yeah, I could host an event, bring in local veterans, share stories, foster connections, create a community. And it starts small, right? Tim grinned, lifting his hands in excitement. You can begin by just getting the word out. Jake felt excitement bubbling within him, a stark contrast to the lingering fear. I'll call around tomorrow. I need to see what resources are out there. I need to know where to start. Look at you. Tim laughed, clapping Jake on the back. That's the spirit. And when you're ready to talk to your family, you'll have this incredible journey to share with them the story of transformation. Yeah, I want them to see I'm on a better path, Jake mused, feeling more alive with each word. But what if it wasn't enough? What if the wounds from the past were too deep to heal? The possibility nagged at him, threatening to pull him back. As the night deepened, the stars twinkled above, whispering secrets of hope, of new beginnings. Jake felt the pulse of determination inside him grow stronger. But one question kept echoing in his mind. Would his family's acceptance come with the baggage of sadness he had left behind? I have to do this, he whispered to himself, a new resolve taking root. I need to go home. A decision made, however, didn't erase the worry. Tomorrow was coming, and it bore the weight of the past. But Jake was ready to confront it. Little did he know, the invitation for healing would come sooner than he expected, wrapped in an unexpected call from an old friend. What would that call reveal? The morning light broke through Jake's window, splashing golden rays across the room. He squinted against the brightness, a twinge of anxiety tightening his chest as the reality of his decision sunk in. Today was the day he'd immerse himself in a new journey. The heart of that journey was clear: reach out, make connections, and transform lives. But the thought of facing his family tugged at him like a heavy anchor. His phone buzzed on the nightstand, shaking him from his thoughts. He grabbed it, expecting a mundane reminder or a message from Tim. Instead, it was a missed call from Ryan, an old friend from high school. Surprised, Jake hesitated for a moment, then hit the callback button. Hello? Ryan's voice came through, filled with an infectious energy despite the distance that had grown between them over the years. Hey, it's Jake, he replied, a mix of nostalgia and nervousness bubbling underneath his skin. Jake. Man, it's great to hear from you. I've been following your story. Unbelievable stuff, dude. You're like a superhero or something. Ryan said, his laughter warm and welcoming. Jake smiled, feeling a flicker of warmth at the compliment. Just trying to figure things out, you know? Yeah, I heard about what you did for that kid, Ethan. Super brave, Jake. We could really use someone with your heart around here. I was just thinking, we have this event coming up at the community center to help raise funds for the veteran shelter. Want to be a part of it? Jake's heart skipped. Here was a chance to dive into action before even getting back to his hometown. I'd love to help. What do you need? Can you get some stories from your experiences? We want to show how even small actions can change lives, Ryan replied, enthusiasm bubbling on the other end. Maybe share your journey too? He couldn't help but think of Tim's encouragement. Yeah, I can definitely do that. It'd be great to connect with people. Sounds awesome, Ryan said. Let us loop in the team tonight. I can send you the details. After hanging up, Jake felt a rush of excitement. This could be the push he needed, a stepping stone into the community that could lead to greater things. But the flicker of self-doubt lit up again as he began contemplating how his family would react to his commitment. They could still revert to seeing him as the boy who seemed lost in a storm. Taking a deep breath, he picked up the phone to call his mom. It rang once, twice, each second stretching into an eternity. Just as he was about to hang up, she picked up. Hello? Her voice was softer than he remembered, soaked with familiar warmth. Mom, it's Jake, he said, his stomach tightening. Jake. Oh my gosh, how are you? She sounded thrilled but hesitant, as if unsure how to approach the conversation. I'm doing okay. I wanted to talk to you about, well, everything, he said, trying to ignore the pounding of his heart. Everything? She echoed, a mix of curiosity and concern in her tone. Yeah. I want to come home, Mom. But I also want to share what I've been up to. There's this event. The line fell silent for a moment, filled with the weight of unspoken words. He could picture her, lips pressed together, thinking. Jake, you know we've missed you so much, she finally said, emotion thick in her voice. We thought we would see you again. I know, and I'm sorry for everything. But I'm ready to make things right. To heal. Can you understand that? I want to understand, honey. I really do, she replied, the sincerity in her voice a balm to his weary heart. It'll take time. Jake nodded, though she couldn't see him. Time. It echoed truthfully in his mind, reminding him how healing rarely came swiftly. As they wrapped up the call, Jake reflected on how this simple conversation had opened a door to reconnecting with his past. The envelopes of uncertainty still loomed in the air, but change felt a little more tangible now. Outside, the sky was a brilliant blue, and for the first time in a long while, Jake dared to imagine a future where he didn't just exist alongside his pain, but thrived within. He felt the phone buzz again. It was Ryan, the details for the event. As Jake read the message, excitement coursed through his veins. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being pulled towards something significant, the opportunity to change lives, perhaps even his own. But as he dove into his plans, a thought darted through his mind. Would his family truly welcome him back after everything? Tonight would reveal where this path would lead him. Would it bring them closer, or push him further away once again? Jake paced his small living room, glancing from the window to the buzzing phone in his hand. The sunlight danced through the glass, and for a moment, he felt its warmth wrap around him like a familiar hug. Today was pivotal. He could sense it in the air, the restlessness of change, like a storm brewing just beyond the horizon. He opened the message from Ryan again, reading it like it held the secret to everything. The event at the community center was only hours away. His heart raced. Would he really share his journey? His triumphs and failures, laid bare before strangers? The door swung open then, causing Jake to jump. Tim walked in, his tired smile lighting up the room. Hey, you ready for tonight? He asked, tossing his bag onto the couch. Yeah. I think so, Jake replied, the words feeling heavy on his tongue. Tim raised an eyebrow, sensing Jake's unease. What's on your mind? Jake hesitated. What if I screw it up? What if they don't want to hear my story? And what about my family? I haven't been back in ages. Tim shrugged gently, leaning back against the couch. Your family will see how far you've come. You're not that same guy any longer. You're stronger, Jake. And your story matters, even if it's tough to tell. Jake nodded but couldn't shake the doubt. Images danced in his head, his family waiting for him, ready to judge. Would they see the transformation? Or just the scars? Just think about when you saved Ethan, Tim continued, his voice steady. How scared you were, but how you chose to act anyway. That's who you are now. How is this any different? Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of that day wash over him. Ethan, he didn't let fear stop him either. Exactly. Tim's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. You faced fear head-on, and you changed a life. This is another chance to do the same, but on a bigger scale. Jake felt that small spark of excitement ignite once more. The image of Ethan's bright smile leapt to his mind, the kid who had defied the odds with a courage he never thought he possessed. Maybe he could channel that spirit tonight. Okay, I think I can do this, Jake said, determination wrapping around his heart like rope binding a sail to a mast. Now you're talking. Tim grinned, walking over and clapping Jake on the shoulder. Getting in front of people to share what matters isn't easy, but once you start, you want to stop. Just then, Jake's phone buzzed again, another message from Ryan. We're meeting at the center in an hour. Everyone's excited to see you. The flutter of anxiety returned, but this time, it was accompanied by hope. Jake looked out at the vibrant street, people bustling by, laughter ringing in the air. It reminded him that he wasn't alone. He was part of something bigger. Let's get moving, Jake said, clenching his phone tightly as they headed out. The community center is waiting for us. As they approached the building, the nerves surged in Jake, mixing with excitement. The familiar scent of warm coffee and baking cookies filled the air, a reminder of community gatherings from his childhood. But as he moved through the crowd, a sudden thought hit him. What if sharing his story meant not just revealing his own progress, but also moving the very mountains that had separated him from his family? With each step echoing in his mind, Jake could sense the weight of possibility. Tonight would be more than just a speech, it could reunite him with the people he longed for. But as he turned to see the faces in the crowd, a familiar figure caught his eye, someone he thought he might never see again. And just then, everything else faded away. Jake's heart dropped at the sight. Standing near the back of the community center, amidst a sea of smiling faces, was his sister, Mia. She looked the same, long hair pulled back in a loose ponytail, her glasses perched on her nose, a denim jacket that he remembered from their childhood. But the years apart seemed to stretch like an unbridgeable chasm between them. Tim, he started, but the words stuck in his throat. There was so much history between them. An unspoken hurt wrapped around their relationship like a tight band. He thought he had prepared himself for anything tonight, but this? Just breathe, man, Tim said quietly, noticing Jake's sudden stillness. You can do this. Just focus on your story. Mia hadn't seen him yet. She was chatting with some old friends, a genuine smile on her face. Jake's stomach twisted with conflicting emotions. Should he go to her? Was he ready for this? Perhaps she would just walk away when she saw him. He watched as she burst into laughter, throwing her head back, that same laugh that had once filled their home with warmth. Feeling propelled by a force he couldn't quite explain, Jake stepped forward, every heartbeat thundering in his ears. Each step brought back memories playing catch in the backyard, late-night talks about dreams, and the arguments that had finally pushed him away. Would she even remember the good times, or only the arguments that had pulled them apart? As he neared, Mia turned. Their eyes locked and time stilled. For a moment, it felt like the world faded away. Jake? She said, her voice barely a whisper, as if she couldn't believe he was standing there. Hey, he managed, suddenly feeling small under the weight of her gaze. She reached a trembling hand towards him, uncertainty mixed with a flicker of hope in her eyes. I didn't know you'd be here. Yeah, I almost didn't come. His voice shook as he spoke. I got your invitation. Mia's smile faltered, realigning into something more serious. I'm glad you did. I've missed you. A rush of warmth spread through Jake. Missing each other resonated like a shared heartbeat, a rhythm they both understood. But so much had changed. I wanted to talk about everything. Mia nodded, and the connection seemed to pulse between them. Tonight? Yeah, tonight. The heaviness of his past felt lighter with those words hanging in the air, but then his phone buzzed again, reminding him of what awaited him. The speech, the stories, the reason he was here. Panic crept in once more, but not from doubt or fear. It was the realization that opening his heart might be the most difficult thing yet. As the crowd began to settle down, he could feel the attention building around him. This was it. Either he could retreat or step into the light, leaving behind the shadows of his past. Are you ready? Tim's voice broke through the comforting haze of the moment. Jake glanced back at Mia, taking a deep breath. He could still see that flicker of hope in her eyes, a chance for them to reshape their story. Yes, he replied, finding his voice. I'm ready. With every step towards the front, his mind raced. Would sharing his story help him heal his family ties? Could opening up his past inspire not just strangers, but also the sister who was right there, waiting for him? The crowd hushed as he took his place at the podium. This was more than just sharing a journey. It was about reconciliation, connection, and maybe, just maybe, a new beginning. And as Jake settled into the moment, he felt stronger than he had in a long time. With a nod to Tim and a glance back at Mia, he opened his mouth to speak, the first words tasting like courage, a bold step towards rewriting his history. But as he opened his mouth, he caught a glimpse of a stranger in the back, his expression shrouded in familiarity. Why did he look so much like? Jake's heart raced again. Was this another ghost from his past, or an unexpected ally waiting to be revealed? Jake's breath caught in his throat. The stranger at the back of the room appeared to be locked in a moment of recognition, just as much as Jake felt about him. There was something deeply unsettling yet oddly comforting in that face. It was hard to shake the feeling that he had seen those features before. The crowd murmured, its attention shifting away from Jake and back to the large screen displaying his introduction. The warmth in his chest dimmed slightly as anxiety whispered in his ear. Focus, he reminded himself. forcing his gaze from the stranger to the gathered faces, searching for a thread of connection among them. Mia stood among the sea of familiar faces, her smile welcoming and apprehensive all at once. It reminded him of simpler times when they had each other's backs, before misunderstandings had taken root. But those thoughts flared into fear. It was now or never. He raised the microphone and closed his eyes for a moment, gathering the courage at his core. Hi, everyone. My name is Jake. The words felt heavy yet liberating. I'm here to share a bit of my journey and why it has brought me back to you all tonight. Jake felt the tension rise in the air around him, emotions twisting like a live wire. He began to share his story, the struggles, the dreams, the heartache that had driven him from home. Each word unspooled years of pain and regret, but along with it, he felt an unexpected rush of relief. He could see Mia drinking in his every word, her expression flickering between hope and hurt, and he realized they shared the same desire to mend their broken bond. But then, as he spoke about his lowest moments struggling with addiction, feeling utterly lost, he couldn't help but glance back at the stranger again. It dawned on him, he was not just any face in the crowd, but someone who could possibly play a crucial part in this unraveling tapestry of his life. Sometimes we need to hit rock bottom to understand our worth. For me, it took nearly losing everything. Jake's voice wavered, heart racing as he glimpsed understanding on the faces of the audience. But it's never too late for a second chance. That's what I want to tell you all tonight. The microphone picked up a sudden gasp from the back of the room. Jake's heart pounded as he turned fully to see the stranger, his eyes wide with a mix of recognition and disbelief. Mia, do you remember the story we used to talk about? The millionaire and the homeless hero? The stranger suddenly interjected, his voice resonating through the silence that had fallen. The connection struck a chord deep within Jake's core. That story, it changed my life. The audience shifted, leaning in with curiosity. More than just a bystander, the man was integral to the unfolding narrative of Jake's life, a bridge between not just past and present, but between despair and hope. Jake took a single, grounding breath. What do you mean? He asked, intrigued. I've been waiting to find you, the man replied, urgency coloring his tone. You don't know it yet, but I'm here to remind you that true power often comes from the most unexpected places. Jake's heart raced as he sensed the weight of something monumental shifting in this moment. Mia? He breathed, longing for the support that only family could provide. He turned again, the hope rising in him like a wave. She could see it too, the promise of a reunion, the possibility of healing, and now the unexpected emergence of a new ally. What secrets did this man hold? What pivotal role would he play in Jake's path forward? The air thickened with anticipation as he stood, mic in hand, ready to dive deeper into both his past and the strange connection that had just surfaced. Are you ready to hear the rest of the story? Jake asked, pleading not only with his audience, but with Mia, who stood rooted in her place with wide eyes. Would the answers they sought bring them together, or would the truth stand to unravel them all over again? The atmosphere in the community center was electric, charged with unspoken tension. Every eye was fixed on Jake, the weight of shared history pressing down on him like a blanket. He took a deep breath, feeling renewed determination swell within him. The stranger in the back made a small gesture, urging him forward, and Jake realized this was much bigger than he ever imagined. I've been through darkness, he began again, his voice steadier now. But it was in that darkness that I discovered the light, people like Ethan, and the love from a community I thought had forgotten me. I understand pain and loss, but sometimes it takes falling apart to put the pieces back together. He glanced at Mia, her eyes glistening with kindness and understanding, and he pressed on. Tonight is about more than me. It's about every one of us choosing to rise, to reconnect with those we love, and to give back. The road has been rocky, filled with struggles, but we don't have to walk it alone. The stranger took a step forward, a smile breaking through the seriousness of the moment. You have no idea how powerful your journey has been for those watching, he said, his voice steady and full of warmth. Jake's heartbeat surged, the stranger's passion lighting a spark deep inside him. When I saved Ethan, I thought that was just one moment. But that moment, he gestured towards the crowd. It began this ripple. What if I told you that I was at my lowest too? I was once that guy in despair, and it was your story that inspired me to rebuild my life. Together, they breathed life into their words, ebbing and flowing like waves. Jake could see the crowd enraptured, hanging on every syllable. They were with him now, each smile, each nod a thread weaving a fabric of connection he hadn't felt in so long. Jake turned back to Mia, breaking eye contact with the stranger momentarily, his heart swelling with family longing. I've lived 1,000 regrets, and I'm sorry for every wound created by my absence. But tonight, I want to heal those wounds. Mia stepped forward, tentative but resolute. You don't need to shoulder it all alone. We've all made mistakes. I want to forgive you, and I hope you can forgive yourself too. Jake felt tears stinging his eyes as they shared their vulnerability, years of pain sliding away with every word. In that moment, the heavy burden of judgment began to lift, replaced by something beautiful: hope. The crowd felt it too, whispers of support and camaraderie echoing among the attendees. The stranger nodded as if sensing Jake's struggle and asked, "Are you ready to be reborn in this community? To share love instead of fear? You've already shown how powerful one act of courage can be. Imagine what a collective effort could achieve." Jake's fervor ignited. Yes, let us create something amazing together. A program where every veteran, every child can find support. Where no one is left behind. We all need to lift one another up. Applause broke out, the sound resonating like a heartbeat through the room. The warmth enveloped him. It was overwhelming yet comforting, a promise that he was not alone anymore. He felt an urge to step deeper into this new world. He needed to give more, to empower those who felt hopeless. A wave of determination washed over him. The stranger grinned and raised his hand, silencing the crowd. Tonight's just the beginning. We'll organize workshops, mentorship programs, whatever's needed. But it starts with our stories. Who wants to share? Hands shot up across the room, a collective urgency filling the space, voices intertwined in a chorus of healing. Jake felt the surge of energy propel him forward. Each voice matters. Each story carries weight. We must embrace it together. As his voice rang out, he realized the truth: the healing he sought was not solely for himself, but for every person he had touched and would continue to touch. That night, Jake unveiled not just his journey, but sparked a movement, a tapestry woven together with strength, redemption, and love. The barriers that had once loomed large vanished, clearing a path for connection and hope. Mia reached for his hand, squeezing it tight. We'll walk this path together. And for the first time in years, Jake smiled a radiant, genuine smile. He was home. As the evening came to a close and laughter mingled with tentative conversations, it was clear tonight marked a chapter of transformation for everyone. Hope bloomed in the air and hearts connected beautifully. If you felt the impact of Jake's story, you need to subscribe now to catch more incredible moments like this. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure others see this transformation. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this powerful ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this journey of hope. Your support means everything, and true fans understand how vital these actions are.